Okay, we want to discuss biomes on this chapter. And again, there's some videos to watch over in the weekly module. So you might want to check those out. Now, biomes are basically just biogeographical realms composed of the flora and fauna, the plants and animals. And there's 8 distinct biographical divisions on the Earth's surface. And that's what they are: oceanic, neotropical, afrotropical, Indo-Malay, Austronesian, Paleoarctic, and Nearctic, in the Antarctic down there in the south. Now, biomes are large, stable ecosystems. They're classified according to the main vegetation type and the adaptations of its organisms to that environment. And there's 2 main ones, the terrestrial and the aquatic. And in the aquatic, there's marine and freshwater. And biomes are defined by their native species. So, this is a typical biome, based on the vegetation and the native species that are there and the adaptations of the organisms to that environment. So we have different grasses, different trees, humans are a part of this, and animals and so forth, and they're all how they adapt to this particular environment, and that creates its own unique biome. Now, in terms of vegetation types, there are 6 major groups: the forest, the savannas, shrublands, grasslands, desert, and tundra. And each of those can be broken further into 10 to 16 different biomes depending on the classification type. And then temperature and precipitation play a large role, much like we saw back when we did climate classification, at the beginning of the semester. So here's an example. So cold, dry, hot, wet. So your Arctic tundra is a biome where it's cold and dry, but your tropical rainforest is a biome where it's hot and wet. Now, over here, it's hot but dry, so you have a warm desert. Over here, it's cold, but you get some rain, so you have what we call a boreal forest. For example, in between, you have your cold deserts, your mid-latitude grasslands, tropical savannas, seasonal forests, temperate rainforests, and so forth. Okay, so there's, that's how we can break these down, these regions into specific divisions. And that's what it looks like when we map it. So tropical rainforest, all the different ones. There's a tropical savanna over here, your deserts over here, Arctic tundras, boreal and montane forests, mid-latitude broadleaf mixed forest, for example, your cold deserts and semi-deserts up here, your polar deserts. And again, Antarctica, it's a desert because it's dry. It's just really cold, but it's really dry. There's no precipitation there. So those are your terrestrial biomes. Okay, now I'm going to show you what's going to happen. So I'm going to stop here, and then on part 2, we're going to go through each one of these and kind of quickly and just show you the different types of conditions and attributes that are specific to each one of the divisions. And notice here that the first one would be tropical rainforest, which we see here in South America, over here in Central Africa, and over here in Asia. So that would be your tropical rainforest. In this case, year-round day length, high insolation, meaning you get a lot of sunlight, high temperatures, most diverse collection of plants and animals, and the soils tend to be oxysoils that we discussed in the previous chapter. And here's where they are. Notice, pretty much right on the equator. So you get a biomass that's in what we call the overstory, up at the top of the trees and in the middle canopy. Very much competition for light because the tree canopies tend to obscure the light and you get lots of different animals. So here's your up to 200 feet, the tallest trees where they emerge from the main canopy. In the middle canopy, where mature trees, they kind of all link together, and you get a huge variety of plants and animals in the understory and then down on the forest floor. So that's your tropical environment. That's the kind of trees you'll see there. And notice all the falling leaves and decayed vegetation there. They're very typical of snakes. The environment, the temperature is just right for them. One of the big problems, of course, has been deforestation. This is looking at the Amazon rainforest, but notice the huge extent of it. These are the Andes Mountains here, which are kind of the borderline, the east-west borderline. But notice how much has been deforested there and how much they're projecting will be deforested by 2050. That could slow down, but it's hard to say. And just, some examples of this in Brazil. And you can see again how much of the forest has been lost, and a lot of it's to create grazing land for cattle, which are being raised to turn into meat, and a lot of it goes to fast food. Okay, so that's kind of your tropical rainforest. Now we'll stop there and come back and do the rest of it in the part 2. We'll go through these one at a time very quickly, and you can go over it. But make sure you follow this in your book. Pay attention to the maps and everything, because all the mastering animations and so forth have to do with that.